you want to do things right? To keep up with keeping your lives tight. Tight as in being right with the truth of true insight. Who of you want to do things right? Who of you want to truly succeed in attaining all and that which is your need? To be heard by the real answerer of all deeds, the true hearer of all whom pleads. Who of you really want to bow down to the true King of Kings commanding the crown? To worship the one that ever rules alone, commanding everything of creation from the seat of its throne.
Everyone with the calm before the storm. I your host, Mr. Idris Taha. With me today we have Lord Holy-Apostle Deen, Brother Fat Abdul Aziz. We're missing our fourth of our quartet. Holy Queen Mother Reverend. Those that are in the studio audience, those in our New York, Jersey, and PA audience, may I ease his peace and elevate blessing by everybody's presence. Yeah, I was going to reverse that. That's okay. Yeah, I know. Yeah, so I either something, prepare you for one thing, like, and then a lot, like he just said, this previous to the show, I changed it just like that. And then, so.
Well, you're supposed to be ready. Gunslinger. Right? With the mind.
Yeah.
Get it.
But praise be to Ahezaah. We discussed on a previous show about the choices and how things change. How either changes things, conditions, situations, and we want to continue on. I guess another portion of the conversation with how Ahezaah was saying about the holy books, the scriptures, how they are many people falsely translate them. Servants of the devil. And how they'll take things from out of its place and then exchange for something else to mix up or falsify the translations of Ahezaah's words. So that's amongst many other things that we're going to discuss on this program, But I know Holy Apostle would mention a conversation we had on a prior show about the impersonality or personalness of the Quran and those things,
Yeah. I have made a statement that you as a human being, you should not take the Quran personal, for yourself. And I really need to more or less expound on that, and clarify what I was saying. Because a lot of people, they may have, turned away from the show wondering how can he say, don't make the Holy Quran personal, and when you should make your religion personal, your relationship with your Lord personal to yourself. When I always tell people to be mindful of the usage of words, understand the meaning of words and how they're used. And when I was saying, no, you should not take the Quran personal, after you said you should take it personal, I think you was making a statement towards what we generally talk about. We generally say that.
Right.
But I just took it to another level and I denounced what you said, even though you were saying the same thing we generally say, because I caught it in another spirit, so to speak, and I pounced on it. When you personalize something, you make it yours.
Okay.
And what I was saying is, it's wrong for you to personalize Allah's words because it belonged to Allah. It belonged to Ahezaah. And it always belongs to Ahezaah. You can't take anything from Ahezaah and then make it yours.
Right. Okay.
Life itself, if we understood life itself and don't personalize our life itself, we would recognize that this life belongs to Ahezaah.
Okay.
One of the most beautiful things that Ahezaah told me, of the innumerable beautiful things that it has told me,
right,
it said to me that when it called mankind to give it a loan, it was saying give back the loan that it gave us of life. So you people who know about Holy Scripture, when the Lord asked for a loan from man, said, what loan would you give? And people be like, well, I give my money, I give this, my time, I give this, that, and the other. It was talking about you giving up the heart that it gave you. It was talking about you giving up the mindset that it gave you, giving up everything about your being, giving it back to it, so that you could be prepared by the Christ of it in purification. So you could be annihilated like Jesus and others were, and be reborn of the spirit of the righteous, to become a child of the righteous. When they talk about the child of God, you know,
Right.
they talking about the children that's been reborn, the children of Adam,
Right.
that's been reborn of this Christ and brought back down to earth in the spirit of the righteous element or essence or mindset or force or order of Ahezaah, the creator Allah. You know? And so many people get that all confused. Talking about I'm a child of God.
Yeah.
You know, what do you mean you're a child of God? You know? Well, I'm a child of God like Jesus, but Jesus was his only begotten son. It's all messed up what they talking about.
Yeah. Yeah.
First of all, the Lord said, don't take me as a he.
Right.
Because if you take me as a he, what about my she part?
Right.
Huh?
Mm-hmm.
We call the creator the father of all creation.
Right.
And then we call it, without realizing it, the mother of all natures.
Right.
But people look at Mother Nature as the weather and not the reality of the force behind the weather. Therefore, they think that the weather, the elements of the weather, have freedom of their own to do what they do. Right. So when a tornado comes through a town and smack up the evil people and leave the good people's houses alone, they say, well, that's nature.
That's nature, right?
No. That was meant for you to tear down this house or this town and not that one, because the Lord the reality of Mother Nature, has control of his angels that's manifested in the forces of nature, giving it complete direction. Therefore, how can you personalize that with yourself?
Right. I got it. Okay.
But you can't personalize, the words of the Lord. Now, in regards to you having a personal relationship with it, yes, you should strive to have a personal, meaning a singular relationship with a real relationship with it, to recognize it and be in remembrance of it, rejoin to it, and opened up in the mind to it, as to where you, like the examples that is sitting down in all its prophets, can become of the communion of it. Yeah. People tell me I'm taking communion.
Right.
You don't.
Wow, yeah.
Come on. What is communion? Common union, general union, or community union with Allah. So who's taking communion except those who are of the righteous, those who are enlightened? It becomes a common union for those of the righteous, those who have been reborn, like, of the Christ.
Yeah, you're talking in a previous show about clarity and how I just open up something so new and so sense-making, so solid.
The beautiful thing about Ahezaah, I know that y'all appreciate the things that Ahezaah bring down through me, because you've been hanging out with me for a good while. But the thing about Ahezaah, it owns everything. That's what I'm talking about.
Right.
It owns everything. All my words, it owns. It's mastered those words it sends down.
Right.
And you can't personalize it.
Yeah.
I can't even personalize it. If I try to personalize it, then what am I doing? I'm trying to take something from the Lord and make it mine, and then establish it, like Farrakhan said about the Million Man March.
Right.
It brought it down through my mind.
Yeah.
That's so that made you the master of that, huh? And it caused you to walk to the slave master's door and keep begging for crumbs in a way that Elijah would never do.
All right. That's right.
That's right. Documented this up, okay? That's right.
Hey.
That's right.
So it's easy to go astray by personalizing things.
Yeah.
And one of the things many intellectuals do that's not fully on the path of truth is they personalize. They whole aim is to personalize their information, personalize their talents. Right. When they bring a talent to you in your community or in your gym or in your school or in your house, Look what I brought to you.
Yeah. Right.
You know, we had a brother who came through here not long ago, and he's not the only one. I've had many come through in the same manner, the same spirit. He didn't make out too well. But after he left, he said, well, you know, I brought you this, that, and the other, talking about some information. I helped you, you know. And I told him, you know, with that information that you brought to me, I only use that information to try to relate to you because you brought that. And I figured this is how I have to relate to him.
Right.
You didn't add one iota to my mission. You didn't change nothing. My mission is given from Allah, from Ahezaah. Ain't no man on earth gonna give me anything to add or take away from my mission. They're not that powerful. The devil itself tried it and got thrown into the abyss of hell.
That's right.
And I haven't conversed with it since. It hasn't come and knocked on my door since. It knocks on my buddies' doors, and they try to knock on the door for it and get burnt. But it's not that stupid. It sees the fire of the angels around me. It knows about my personalized bodyguards of the spirit realm.
Yeah.
Huh? That personally belong to Ahezaah. That's under his personal commandments to protect me.
Right.
Huh? So, you know. So where we at with you?
You know, Lord, personalizing. You know, I have a question. Now it's not the same thing as emotionalizing. If you hear Ahezaah gives us something and it just touches you emotionally and you embrace it and you go around with it. That's not. I thought for a moment that would be personalizing something, but that's not.
No, because personal and emotional is two totally different things. You know, I mean, like you can become emotional because somebody say something to hurt your feelings, and then somebody say, "Yeah, you took it personal, man. That's why your feelings got hurt." You know, and in other words, you took something personal that you had no control of. And you put yourself into it and you let it affect you. And you might turn and say, well, that person was wrong for doing me like that or saying that, but you still personalize what they said. If you didn't personalize it, take it personal onto yourself, something that you have no control of, something that's coming out of somebody else's mouth, you may have been able to laugh it off. You know, you may have been said, you know, like, yeah, you're right, man. I do got one eye. But I can see pretty good out of that one. And check this out. Pow! I had two hands. Huh? And gave them something personal from yourself. You know? Yeah, see, emotionalizing things is not personalizing it. It's just allowing yourself to go off in emotions. Do you know that people can fake emotions to a degree as to where they become real to them? And then the force of the devil take them over, and they believe that commotion that comes about is emotion? You know, you ever seen some of them old-time religions, places where they be singing and dancing, and before you know it, you know, a woman and you know, she praise dance, and then before you know it, her dress is all up in the air and panties showing and breasts falling out, and they just doing the huckabuck, man. Where's the Lord at in that? What happened? You know what I'm saying? Because there's a limit to everything, you know? You caught I remember seeing the lady out there and can't get them titties out my.
I remember the service Sunday.
He went back. I come back. Come back. Come back. I remember them old time religions walking down Belmont Avenue and Berry Street. We stopped stopped by the church last Sunday. We hadn't went in. We just peeked through the door.
Things we did as children.
Yeah, hey, things some people do as grown folks. Because you still got some grown folks. Walk by the church and stop at the door. They getting down in there. You know? Let me see some things, but go ahead.
Lord, how do we avoid personalizing? How do we get away from personal?
By following the wisdom of the Lord else. By following his wisdom. By following his wisdom. The first thing the Lord tells you is to protect yourself from what you read. Mm-hmm. No matter what it is. The Lord tells you when you wake up in the morning, mm-hmm. fear it and remember it and respect it. And people say, pray upon it.
Right.
Well, it don't say pray upon it. It said praise it.
Right.
But don't pray on it. But beg for his mercy. You see, you got to get all that straight, man. You know? And when I say pray upon it, I'm talking about P-R-E-Y. And they try to act like they talking about P-R-A-Y, which I still trying to figure out where that word came from.
Yeah.
You know? And if you beg the Lord to keep you straight, then when you go into your daily read up, it gives you guidance because that's your form of communication. See, the thing about the Lord L is it gives you greater and greater and greater and greater and greater levels of communication as you go along in life. But you have to earn that by giving back the loan of your life that it gave to you back to it. And the more you give that back to it, the more that it raises you up in degrees of understanding and informing you of more things. It even teaches you not to hold on to what it gives you because it's too much for you to hold on to. Some of our people run around here trying to hold on to knowledge because they want to possess it and personalize it.
Right.
Huh?
Right.
You ask me what I got in my head right now. I can't tell you because the Lord has emptied my brain. Where you looking at your thoughts, I can't look past a thought of this or the word that I'm speaking right at this moment. I cannot look past this thought. I cannot do what I used to be able to do before my enlightenment.
Right.
Now I can only be. And I'm glad, I'm happy because if I start thinking of my own self, then I know I've lost something from the gift of my Lord. My Lord is decided that it's going to guide me completely. I don't want to lose that. You know, because it taught me that everything belongs to it. So why would I want to possess anything? I'm much better off than letting it throw punches for me than me throwing them for myself. But see, for 31 years, I've had who knows how many people of the different religions trailing me, trying to do me harm and haven't been able to touch me yet. You know, I haven't stressed over, man, in terms of information. Not at all. Why would I if I'm not holding it? Right. If I haven't personalized anything. When I have been on my way to come and have meetings with you all. And sometimes I think, yeah, I would like to talk about this, that, or the other, and be dreaming all the way down here and come through that door and say, okay, we're going to talk about, boom, something I had never even thought of. Why do you think we never rehearse for these shows? I will never rehearse for a show. Why? Who am I?
Yeah.
I'm not putting up no front. Mm-hmm. I'm not coming up in here trying to sound like, you know, somebody in the studio who been prepped to look and act in, right. You know, certain ways. Mm-hmm. You know, we throwing down. We got a message for the people. You know, the people out there, we can't see them, but they our family. They are supporters. They are friends. They are enemies. They whatever. They all out there. And I realized, yeah, I'm in this box called a studio or a house or whatever, but we out there with them. And we got to present ourselves here the same way we should present ourselves when we're in their company. You see? Fortunately, I'm not one who is very changeable in terms of the way I act here is different from what I act out there, because you see me here and out there, and everybody else see me out there. And now when they see me here, they say, hey, he's acting the same way he acting when we see him out there. I'm not going to front, because the thing I need least is somebody say, he not being himself. The people that know me, I still regard them. A lot of them reject, and a lot of them don't believe, but I still have regards for them. You know, if I came up here acting like I went to Oxford or Yale or something, they'd be like, this guy, you know, but I didn't do that. Do you know? I tell them I got my Ph.D., my pretty hard diploma from the street. You know?
University of SCC.
That's right, in Sidewalk University.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
It's a pretty hard diploma, but it's a pretty heavy diploma. So it's still, you know? They said, look at that nigga try to be slick. I'm going to tell Al Sharpton on you. Call me a nigga.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but I praise Ahezaah for the lesson, because, like I said, understanding and personalizing in the way he's explaining now is give a greater light, because you can't only of his wisdom, his words, what it's in down in the book. So now, the only thing I can have with it is that singular with it, relationship with it, which helps, right? I know you were talking about the Quran, like because people may read the Quran.
It's not just the Quran.
The Holy
It's
Scripture,
all the
scriptures, yeah. People who don't see themselves like this, Allah can relate histories of people before them.
Mm-hmm.
And on the previous show, we were talking about how those people are us, still us now.
Yeah.
Even though
we're extensions
of the same people.
We all the children of Adam.
Right.
You know, we all have been here before in some form or fashion. You know, we all of these same trees that's been planted of humanity, you know, that keep giving fruit, you know.
Right.
And we keep being evolved and going, you know, in this evolutionary turn, you know, of our lives, you know.
Right.
You know, a question was asked about understanding the scriptures, and how does, more specifically, how does one know understand whether it's literal or whether it's figurative? In other words, how do they know what is true and what's not true?
I understand the literal and the figurative. The reason I understand that is because Ahezaah put me under it to stand in it. And what I mean is, it gives me the literal meaning and the figurative meaning, and I hold on to its meaning. See, it owns it, so I hold on to what it gives me, not what I devise in my own mind, because I could think many things. See, one of the main things in religion or in life itself for you to gain wisdom is divine guidance from the Lord El in all its names, is humility. See, people talk about, oh, you need patience, oh, you need faith, oh, you need this, you need that, but humility is one of the greatest things you need as a student of the all-knowing one, as a student of the Lamb, as a student of Islam, you know. You need humility. Why? Because you need to know that you're not as smart as you think you is or thought you were, that you will never be as knowing of yourself as the one who created you, you know, and that it is more real than you are yourself. See, and all that it teaches you as it educates you and you go higher and higher, you need to recognize and live in humility more and more and more. Do you know there are some human beings that literally, figuratively, actually compete with the Lord El in their own minds? Compete. Try to take you from the Lord. Try to take other things from the Lord. Try to prove themselves their word better than what you got of the Lord's. They're constantly competing. Some of them recognize that they compete because they believe that the devil is the god of this world, truly. And some don't recognize that they compete before being ignorant and following the devils of this world, the doers of evil. you know, the diabolical people, you know? We have to realize, or we need to realize, that we got all kinds of people in this world. All kinds. And some people say, you know, like, for instance, I had someone come to me that said to me about one of my blood sisters, one of my siblings, who had been conversing with me. She would converse with me. I would give information. She'd thank me for the information. She'd sit back and listen to me for, you know, maybe hours at a time. Said to this individual, do you actually believe what my brother be saying? You know? And the thing about it is, what she does is, she don't believe the ultimate of what I say, just like most other people don't believe the ultimate of what I say, that I'm Allah's messenger, I'm Ahezaah's messenger, that Ahezaah speaks to me. But she take all the good, all the gifts, all the talents, all the loans that Ahezaah put in my hand to give out to people. She take them all and use them, and she have advanced, just like other siblings of mine have advanced from my words. Angry with me because I won't get lost and taken up with the institutions of education of this world, saying that I would have all kinds of degrees if I would just go to school. And just go to school and what? Become a slave to who?
Right.
That wasn't the course set for me in life. I'm not trying to hinder anybody else from going in that course, but don't hinder me from the course that was set for me. I recognize it. I live in humility of it. I know that I can have all kinds of degrees plastered over the wall like one of my brothers and sisters, man. Well, 2 or 3 of my sisters and brothers. But the thing about it is that I haven't seen those letters of degrees and diplomas and whatever forms they got, bringing them closer to the reality of being. The reality that they're going to have to deal with when they pass from this test, this world of test in Earth Eden, going into the life hereafter, to the reality where they won't have them degrees. They won't have the respect of the professors and the so-called deans of the institutions. They're just going to have their own self standing before their Lord, all of our Lords, with their own self bearing witness for or against them for the wrong or the right that they've done.
We're going to hold on to that thought to our New York audience that were tuning in. Catch the second part of this conversation with Holy Apostle, Brother Fakir, and myself. May Ahezaah's peace and blessing about your presence. Continue to watch.
Who of you want to do things right? To keep up with keeping your lives tight. Tight as in being right with the truth of true insight. Who of you want to do things right? Who of you want to truly succeed?